AGUA Special Utility District, regular called board meeting, April 4th, 2022, 6:01 p.m. Item number 1, call to order. 1A, roll call. Maribel Diaz, absent. Cesar Rodriguez,
Present.
present. Ricardo Perez,
Present.
Lloyd Loya, absent. Homero Tijerina,
Present.
and Ivan Sandoval, absent. We do have a quorum. Item 1B, invocation. It will be done by Jennifer.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make the decision that might affect the ratepayers and staff, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Item C, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 1D, public comments.
Yes, Madam President, there are no comments at this time.
No public comments. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Item number 2, minutes. 2A, approval of minutes for March 7th, 2022, our board meeting.
So move.
I have a motion by Tijerina.
Second.
I have a second by Cesar. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 3, discussion and possible action on a non-standard service agreement for water to be submitted to Vaquero or Mission Partners LP for the cost related to water service for Buddy Boulevard subdivision.
Milo?
Milo?
Good evening, board members. Milo Salinas here with M2 Engineering. This property here is located on the northwest corner of Goodwin Road, FM 492 and Buddy Owens, Mount 3. The proposal is intended for commercial use and it sits on 1 acre and we recommend approval.
So move.
Okay. I have a motion by Tijerina
Second.
and I have a second by Mr. Perez. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on a non-standard service agreement for water and wastewater to be submitted to Servando and Elia Reina for the cost related to water and wastewater service for Reina's Crown subdivision.
Yes, board members, this property is located on the west side on North Goodwin Road, FM 492, approximately 530 feet north of Spring Glen Drive in the City of Palmview. The development consists of 9 lots encompassing approximately 8.2 acres. The proposal is for 3 lots for commercial, lots 3 through 8 for residential. We recommend.
So move.
Okay, I have a motion by Tijerina and I have a second by Mr. Perez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 5 is discussion and possible action on a non-standard service agreement for water to be submitted to Mariano Resendez Jr., Arnoldo Garza, and Juan Salinas Jr. for the cost related to water service for RSG subdivision.
I abstain from voting on this item.
Okay.
Let me just comment on that. Director Perez has
Okay.
disclosed, as he's required under Section 171 of the Local Government Code, that he believes there may be a potential conflict of interest with respect to this particular item. And as I understand it, it's because the Rio Bank has provided a loan to the applicant for the service agreement. Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
Okay. And although, in my opinion, there's not a substantial business interest that would require under the code for Director Perez to abstain, he has disclosed it and elected to abstain just to make sure that there's not any question about potential conflict of interest.
Sounds good. So move. Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Tijerina. I have a second by Cesar. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And for the record, Ms. Maribel Diaz walked in at 6:05 PM to the meeting. Okay, moving on to item number 6, discussion and possible action on award of liquid aluminum sulfate blend and liquid ammonium sulfate for AGUA SUD water treatment chemicals to the lowest, most responsible bidder as recommended by General Manager. Mr. Salinas.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, we received 2 bid responses, and this is for the liquid aluminum sulfate and 1 no bid response. For the bidders that submitted, the quote was Chemtrade, and they came in at .1525 cost per pound, and Brentag at .2433 per pound. And we had a no bid, which was Univar. They submitted a letter with a no bid. That's Univar Solutions. For this chemical, liquid aluminum sulfate, we recommended the lowest, most responsible bidder being Chemtrade at .1525 per pound. And for the next chemical within the same item, we have the liquid ammonium sulfate. We received 3 bid responses for this chemical. We received Chemtrade at .24 cost per pound. Univar Solutions at .4023 cost per pound, and Brentag at .1925 cost per pound. So we're recommending the lowest responsible bidder being Brentag for liquid ammonium sulfate at .1925 cost per pound. So these are the 2 most responsible bidder, each one pertaining to each individual chemical, and we recommend approval to award bid.
Okay.
So move.
I have a motion by Cesar.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Perez. All those in favor? Say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item number 7, discussion and possible action on selection of energy provider for AGUA SUD.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, the committee has looked at different vendors for the electrical service quotes. We have received quotes from Gexa Energy, Reliant, Mid-American Energy, Zero Energy, and Green Mountain. And again, we have done this for 24, 36, 48, and 60 months as well, so that we can look at the different quotations that they have given us. Right now, the way the situation is, and talking to the vendors due to fuel and of course the war that is going on, the bids keep changing on a daily basis. So, for example, if I get a bid this last week and I get it this week, it's gonna change the bid so that we can get a fixed price on this. So right now, I mean, the current rate that we have with Gexa, and it's a variable rate, it's of .0435 per kilowatt, just to give you an idea. And right now, let's say Gexa again for 36 months will be 0.059 cents per kilowatt. So it has drastically changed for them. And also, I mean, as far as Reliant, they're at .0586 for 36 months per kilowatt, and Mid-American Energy at .06155 cents per kilowatt. So basically, the rates have been changing. So I've been talking to Matt in reference to how to go about the situation that we're encountering right now.
That's not including delivery charge, is it?
That's not including delivery charge.
Can you get like a bulk including delivery charge so they can be, fixed?
I believe right now we are on a variable rate, and that's what Mr. Salinas is working on, trying to get us a fixed rate on our electricity, because we have it on a variable, so yeah.
Yeah, but if you get a delivery charge included, I mean, so like that, it's fixed for 3-4 years.
Mhm.
So just by way of reminder, we have currently as our provider is Gexa Energy. That contract was initially for a 3-year period, and that ends on May 1st of this year. Per our contract with Gexa, if it terminates at that point, if we don't have a new provider that comes in and takes over our meters at that point, well, then it goes to a month-to-month basis, okay? You might remember, some of you, and I can't remember, Director Perez, if you were here when this was going on, but we had a situation to where we had an energy consultant that put us under contract with another company called Direct Energy 1 year before our contract terminated with GEXA. We dealt with that this last summer. There's a potential that Direct Energy might make a claim. I don't believe that's going to happen, but that's out there. But we terminated the energy provider who did that for us. So Mr. Salinas has gone out on his own and done this work. One of the good things about that is we're going to avoid having the cost of paying, you know, a percentage to the energy consultant every month. Okay, so that's just a little bit of background on where we are with our energy contract. This particular issue that Mr. Salinas brings up is that if he speaks with GEXA Energy today about a variable rate for 24 months, 36 months, 48 months, that literally changes by the day. And so because of the actual logistics of entering into this contract, what I think the board should consider doing is just authorizing the general manager to enter into a contract for a period of time that the board's comfortable with. The last contract was 3 years. That's relatively standard. Of course, the longer you go out, the less the price can be. But because the rates that he's looking for are fixed rates, you know, of course, there's risk associated with that. You know, 3 years from now, we may, you know, everything settles down in the world and we're overpaying. You know, that's the risk of going with a fixed rate. Okay, so the board should, I think the board should consider. You know, if you look at the rates that we've got, we're probably looking at a 36-month is probably about the right amount of time. 24 months would be something you might consider. Looking at the rates, it seems like 36 is the right way to go. So a length is something I think the board ought to think about. And number two is authorizing him to, you know, reach out and grab that price, you know, over the, you know, tomorrow, the next day, whenever he actually gets a quote, because there's not enough time to give 72 hours notice and come back and go to the board with a rate, because it'll be gone. And so that's a long way of saying it would be my recommendation that the board consider a motion that would authorize the general manager to enter into an energy contract with the lowest cost provider for a period of, say, 36 months or 24 months or 48 at the board's discretion.
What is it that, what we have right now? What's compared to the quotes you got?
Right now, with GEXA, we have a variable rate
What is it?
of 0.0435,
0435.
which is 4 cents and change per kilowatt.
And what's the lowest you got?
The lowest I got, and that was last week, which is not valid today. It was for 0.055, which is 5.5 cents
Yes.
per kilowatt fixed.
Delivery, we're gonna be looking like around 10, 11 at the end of the day.
More or less. We need to get those numbers, you know, fixed as well.
Yeah, because that's actually what we're paying right now, because they're including already those charges. And I know when we look between Direct Energy and Dexa was still cheaper. I know Mr. Evangi had recommended to stay with Dexa, that's why we had to change back when all that was going on, what Matt was talking about.
Yes, no, definitely. Ms. Benji has been in contact with all these vendors
Yes.
that we have, and we've been getting, you know, rates on a weekly basis when we ask, right? But because they're changing,
Yes.
we would like to you know, to get it as a fixed rate for either the next 2 years or the next 3 years or the next 4 years.
Well, tomorrow's gonna be over 100, and I guarantee it's gonna go up.
Well, so I mean, yeah, right, tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's right. But I mean, there's not an urgency. Well, I mean, there's not an urgency from the standpoint of there's not like a deadline. Our lights are not going to go off. Our contract with GEXA expires on May 1st. At that point, I mean, we're on a variable rate with them anyway. We're just going to go month to month, you know. And so it would be a good decision for the board to you know, authorize the general manager to try to grab the best price, understanding that risk that, you know, if we go off a variable price, we may be paying more than market in, you know, a year, 2 years because of the volatility in the world. But it may be that if we don't grab a fixed price, if we think that energy prices are gonna keep going up, well then, you know, we're really at risk, which is, I'm sure, I'm no expert in this, but I'm sure that's why the future fixed rates are higher than the current price today, because of the speculation that the rates will go up.
Yeah.
Would you like to take it into executive?
Yeah, well, no, I think he can go into a contract. I think he's well experienced in getting us the lowest rate out there. And I think the prices are gonna go up, the
Yeah.
way I see things.
Yes.
I guess the question would be what time frame would we all agree would be something that would be,
2 or 3?
would it be 24 or the 36 months?
24, 36 months, I mean,
So,
what do you guys,
It would be under Mr. Salinas' discretion.
Mhm.
What rate can you get for 24
yeah,
months?
depends
or
on what the
rate can you get
rates
for
you go
36
Yeah.
months?
shopping for, I mean.
Yeah, so tell, so for example, here's an example, on a 24-month, with Reliant, one of the bidders, their 24-month rate was .064, their 36-month rate was .0586, so you're talking about almost a penny
So it
less.
should be lower.
Lower,
It's
if you go
'cause
36
the
instead of
higher the
24.
term or the higher the, the contract years, well, it would be a better rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, myself went to a deal in 3 years, but I got delivery charge included, so there's no fluctuation from the delivery company, because they can go up also on delivery, and you're not aware of that. But maybe it's a different deal. I'm talking about consumer.
And the delivery,
Yeah, but
delivery
it's
charged by the AEP. or
By,
Residential's
yeah.
different.
Yeah,
Magic Man.
but
Is that different for commercial?
okay.
Yeah,
Salud. Make the motion.
I mean,
it would be a motion authorizing the
Okay.
general
Yeah, so
manager.
if, you know, for instance, the board could say, I make a motion to authorize the general manager to enter into a energy provider contract for 36 months with the lowest responsible bidder. And then that would give the general manager the chance to look at this, like, you know, tomorrow, the next day, you know, up until, you know, May 1st, when our contract expires, he could, you know, be kind of watching the market and make a decision.
Okay, I wanna make a motion, we authorize general manager go into contract either 24 months or 36 months to get us the best deal.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Perez, I have a second by Tijerina. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 8, discussion and possible action approving sale of district property to County of Hidalgo with respect to construction of Veterans Boulevard, FM 495, and authorizing the general manager to execute all necessary documents. Mr. Salinas.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, we received a letter from LNG representing Hidalgo County, and this is in reference to the Veterans Boulevard widening project between Abram Road and La Homa Road. So they're looking into purchasing property that we have under our name here just west of La Homa, right behind Iberreina, where the old water tower used to be, that property which belongs to us. The County of Hidalgo is looking into purchasing approximately 750 square feet of that property, and we have that aerial view on, I guess, page number 3 of the package of item number 8. And it shows that yellow line depicting the actual area that is gonna be taken. So basically, the county, I guess, is authorized to offer AGUA SUD $5,809 for the property. Now, I've been looking into getting formal quotes for the relocation of the fence, and we have received informal quotes of getting that fence relocated for around $2,500, the existing fence and the gate. So, I mean, I would like to, with the permission, of course, of the board, to counteroffer to at least $9,000 for this property. So that we can get the cost associated with
With the moving
relocating
of
the
it.
fence and the gate.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there no water lines or anything that needs to be relocated or anything on that area?
On this portion of the taking, no.
No, okay.
And
So
that's
move.
just to cover the cost of the relocation.
Okay. I have a motion by Tijerina and I have a second by Mr. Rodriguez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries on item number 8. Item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding renewal or extending M2 engineering contract for professional services.
Yes, Madam President, on this next item, we have an existing contract with M2 Engineering, which relates to being the AGUA SUD district engineer. The contract will expire on June 4th, 2022. And basically, M2 Engineering submitted a letter with a supplemental agreement form allowed by the existing contract to request for a possible renewal of his services,
Okay.
professional services. So basically, he's submitted a letter with the intent to extend the contract from June 4th, 2022 through June 4th, 2024, which is 2 years. And basically, the actual cost or the retainer that we have right now is for $4,000 per month. And he's seeking to lower the monthly retainer fee to $3,500 per month.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Perez and I have a second by Mr. Rodriguez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Discussion. Matt, on this one, did you read it on the 30-day clause? Because all contracts supposed to have a 30-day clause.
Right, now, this particular proposal is for a 2-year term, all right? And it would terminate at the end of that period, not an automatic renewal. The proposal is for extension 2 years to terminate on a specific date.
Okay.
So there's not a provision in there that says that the district could just terminate it for no reason during that period, without compensation. So if the,
Okay. So are you all okay with the 2 years or do you all want to discuss this in
I'm good with the
executive?
2 year, but on
I'm
the
good.
bylaws, we had amended that all contracts must have a 30-day clause. Or am I wrong?
Subject to
I just wanna make sure we're,
There is a termination clause in the contract, on the original contract.
Thank you, Milo.
hang on one second.
And what was that, Milo? 30 days or?
I'm opening it up so I can, read it out loud.
I just don't want any problems with the auditors for next year. I just,
Yeah, everything's done right.
yeah, just.
Okay, there's a termination provision if he fails to comply with his obligations, right? It's not just to terminate for any or no reason. So, just like really any contract, if somebody fails to do what they're supposed to do, you're not stuck with
Scope of work.
it. You can terminate it. That's what this says, is that if there's a failure to comply, right? So as long as M2's doing their job,
Everything's fine.
everything's fine. But the board can't just come back and say, hey, look, you've done everything right, everything's great, but we want to
Terminate.
terminate it
Yeah, no,
because
no.
somebody else is going to do it for $2,000. That would not be permitted under this agreement.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, so with that being said, everybody's okay with 2 years, or would we want to, Milo, would you be okay if it was done for 1 year and then evaluated after a year?
I'm open for anything that you guys.
I'm good with the
And
2
I'm
years.
I'm not saying it for any other reason other than, I mean, I would,
Well, you can bring
just
up
a
But
suggestion,
it's an open, I mean, you could bring up for discussion once the year.
yeah. That's what I'm thinking, maybe like 1 year, do it 1 year and then and then
I'll go
bring
with
it up.
2 years, but
Yeah, but
I'm good with 2 years too.
good with 2 years? You're
Yeah,
good with 2
yeah,
years?
2
I
years.
just wanted to make sure the contract,
Yeah,
I don't want any
finalize.
problems that the auditors come back
Okay.
and say, this is
Can I ask
missing,
a
or,
question?
No,
that's all I want.
There is on 3.4 termination of agreement, it says in the event that during any term thereof, the owner does not appropriate sufficient funds to meet the obligations of this agreement, the owner may terminate this agreement upon 30 calendar days written notice to the engineer.
Okay.
Oh.
That-
Okay.
It's there.
But,
You don't like
okay,
it, Matt?
it's, okay.
Yeah,
Would-
okay. If we did not appropriate the funds, I mean, the budget, the annual budget appropriates funds every year. And so that effectively would make it a 1-year, agreement, because, the funds would be appropriated.
For 1
to
year.
start
That's,
the year.
that's why I'm
So it'd be
questioning
one,
the
but if-
2 years, because Milo, it's not anything, I'm just questioning because we have an approval on our budget for 1 year of services and we're doing it for 2 years and we don't know if it's gonna be allocated in
Depending
the
on what
next.
the budget consists of.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was my questioning behind that.
Yeah, so I mean, Milo's right. I mean, when the board considers the budget for 2023, they could decide not to appropriate funds
Yeah, either way
for that
it's-
particular contract,
cost.
and under the terms of this agreement, it would be terminated.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's effectively a 1-year agreement. But I mean, the board does need a district engineer.
Yes,
Oh,
And so,
of
and
course,
so to not appropriate funds for an engineer would be an interesting discussion.
yes.
But in any event, the board would have the authority. The proposal as written is for 2 years at $3,500. It sounds like the district engineer is open to a 1-year agreement at $3,500. So the board can decide, on motion, can decide which way it wants to go.
Okay,
Good.
we're good.
Everybody's good?
Okay.
We gotta take a vote.
Want to take a vote?
No,
Just
you already
would
have
need
a motion.
There
and
is a
second.
motion pending.
There's a written-
There's a
Yeah,
motion
there's a
pending
motion
for
and
the
a second.
2-year to approve the contract the way I heard the motion was there would be a motion to approve it as proposed.
Yes.
2 years, $3,500.
But there's a motion and a second already.
That's right, that's right. And so
So now
there
we
would
need a
need to be a vote at this point.
Okay, so, Cesar,
Aye.
Aye,
everybody?
So
good,
unanimous,
Motion.
everybody?
Yeah.
good.
And just for the record, the motion was done by,
Me, or who was, or,
It was, I don't know, it was Cesar or Rick?
Me.
I guess
okay.
Rick is.
So motion was done by, Mr. Perez, and the second was done by Mr. Rodriguez. All those in favor? Aye? Everybody?
Aye.
So motion carries for item number 9.
Yep.
Thank you, Milo. Item number 10, discussion and possible action regarding FM 492 water treatment plant, water recovery and wastewater process improvements, water saver.
As the board might remember, this particular contract has been suspended until April 19th. Previously, the board made that decision to suspend work as we're entitled to do under the agreement. That is coming up this time. I've got some legal advice for the board with respect to the options going forward if anybody is interested in hearing that in executive session.
We already have it there.
It is there.
It is.
there.
So
So
we
do we
don't
have to move it, or?
You don't have to make a motion, but if you want to be able to come back to this
An open
action
session?
item later, it would be, I would recommend going ahead and just making a motion.
I'll make a motion to move, item 10 to executive session.
Okay, I have a motion by Tijerina, and I have a second by Cesar. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, item 10. Item number 11, discussion and possible action, authorizing general manager to submit declaration of loss and request for restitution from Omar X. Romero pursuant to notice from Probation Office of the United States District Court for the Southern District of Texas. Mr. Salinas.
The board may remember during last meeting, there was not identical, but a very similar notice that we had received from the United States Probation Office notifying the district of its right to seek restitution at a sentencing hearing of a particular individual. We have another letter similar to that one for relating to the plea of Omar Romero. We have spoken with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and they have said that we just need to submit any request for restitution before the sentencing hearing on the individuals, And that won't take place until August or September. At least that's what they're saying of now. That could change. It could be a little bit earlier, a little bit later. But that's when that would need to be submitted, just like we did last time before the district, the general manager submits an affidavit claiming damages. It was our thought that we wanted to bring that to the board and notify you of it and seek authority to do that. So there's no particular deadline right now. And plus we're part of this investigation to determine how much it is and restitution we think we're entitled to is related to some ongoing investigations that we're working on right now. So we would ask for the authority for the general manager to submit a response to the notice and file the affidavit with the probation office once the information becomes available.
Okay. So do I have a motion for item number 11?
So move.
I have a motion by Cesar, and I have a second by Mr. Perez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 12, General Manager's Report, 12A, January and February financials.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, I have here with me Mr. Jaime Reina, Finance Director, to give us an update.
Yes, Board, these financial statements are as of February 2022. Year-to-date, total operating revenues are $1,700,000 or 15% of the total revenue budget. Total operating expenses are $1,060,000 or 14% of the total expense budget.
Are we in track to pay our bills, or are we gonna have some problems? This is the time to shine, and, you know, if there's a problem.
Basically, we, one of the next general manager report, I was gonna mention, the actual payments that are coming up. So let me take care of that, right now. So basically on the leases, that we have with, Bank of America, which is the phase 1 and phase 2, of the projects, we have a total of $349,560, that are gonna be due on May the 1st. And, for the phase 2 as well, with Bank of America leasing, it's $188,656.88, which is also due, May, 1st. And, also we have a vehicle lease, that is gonna be due, later in April 25th, 2022, and that's for $101,257, $101,257, and that's due to, government capital, and that's for a lease, as well. And for those, Madam President, members of the board, we have the funding available to make those payments, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark and Jaime. So we have the payments for those. Now, what we're looking at is into the major leases that are coming up, that we're trying to appropriate some of the funding that is gonna be necessary to make payment on August of this year. Now, we're looking into several options, that we have been, talking with our attorney, as far as, making that, payment. So right now, and of course, it also depends, on the water, revenues that we're gonna be getting, the sanitary sewer, revenues that we're gonna be getting to make a final determination on the actual amount that might be needed to make those payments in August.
What is the surplus that we're getting right now on a monthly basis, based on the expenses?
Well, in January, it was about $478,000, and that dropped in February to $160,000. That's just excess operating revenues.
But that's the revenue
Go ahead and explain to me.
What was that?
It's okay.
Yeah, the excess of revenue that finance director had mentioned, that's the revenue stream. We have that excess of revenue, but we still have to pay our debt and the leases from that excess. So this excess doesn't count the upcoming payment for leases and bonds. So it's the excess of operating revenue versus operating expenses. So like if you look the financial, we are 15% in our operating revenue and 14% in our expense. So we are close to the forecast because 100% forecast is 8.33% every month. So we are around 16.5. So we are very close side to a forecast. But that excess that you see is not considering the debt and lease payment that we have to make in May and August. So those payments are gonna come out from that excesses.
Right, so move forward from here to August, like go to October, November, what's gonna be our position then?
I think that we are closely monitoring it and prepare a preliminary analysis that we updated the general manager on it, and that way he can enlighten on that there are several options that we can consider in that regard.
So our option is getting money from another account or what?
So here's how I understand it. You're gonna correct me if I'm wrong, Jaime and Park. We have the funds to meet the May 1st lease obligations for the two PSI related projects. That's about a $550,000 payment, all right? With respect to our current financial projections, the August 1st annual bond payment of
No, it's 2 million, 2 million, the August 1st.
the 2 million,
Yeah.
the bonds together is $2 million. There is a strong possibility that we will need to utilize our bond reserve fund to meet those bond payment obligations. And that is due in no small part to the $1.1 million in PSI payments that we have to make on an annual basis. So that is what we are looking into right now, is to the extent that we have the ability and to the extent that we will need to utilize the bond reserve to meet those bond payments that are due in August.
But what, I mean, I don't wanna seem like we're gonna be kicking the can down the road, you know, what is it for, I mean, the end of the year, next, I mean, how much are we reserving, I mean, are we gonna fail next year or the beginning of December or?
We're certainly not making any predictions of failure, but there is no doubt that we are in an extremely difficult financial position. And it is our, from what we have seen, that financial position is the result of a multitude of decisions, but $1.1 million payable to Bank of America leasing for the PSI project is a significant part of it.
And we know if we're gonna have a problem 6 months down the road or 3, we need to send a letter to those creditors, hey, it might be a problem, or because, for example, the payment is due tomorrow, I mean, if they don't get the check, I mean, they're gonna be asking some questions.
We do not plan to get on the deadline without giving advance notice.
In this organization, we know how much we're gonna collect each month, you know.
Right.
I know rates are probably, people are gonna use more water, but our expenses are gonna go up.
Mhm.
So actually, so, I mean, and I know we have other payments, I mean, so.
Just that we let know the board when we had this 14% expense for 2 months, the budget that we adopted last year increased 3%, projecting a 3% expense increase, like where everything was going up. So we did take consideration that all of our expenses are gonna go like 3% up. That was the threshold we used for the expenses.
Right, the worst thing that I don't want, or being, actually all the board members, is to increase rates, you know. How do you get more money, increase rates? And that's what we don't want.
Well, there's no doubt, but I'm unable to tell you that that's not going to be the consequence of our financial position. Of course, that would be a decision that the board would have to make, but I mean, as you're well aware, Director Perez, increasing revenues or decreasing expenses are the way you hit a monetary shortfall. And those are things that this staff is going to consider and will make recommendations to the board as we begin to understand what the consequences are of the
See, our
current
next
financial
meeting,
position.
maybe we can have a more detailed exactly where we at, where we're gonna be in 6 months from now, with all those payments coming in.
Yep.
Yes, we have the preliminary analysis includes some live data. When I say it's like when the month already been for January, February, we had the actual data, and now as time passes, we're gonna have actual data for March and April, so it's gonna be less predictive and more accuracy based, because you have an actual revenue that Crystal bill out to the customer. So, and we will update the preliminary one and present to GM for the next.
Thank you, Parth.
Thank you.
Okay, so I believe that was part of item 12C, right, Mr. Salinas?
Yes.
That's right, that's right.
Yes, Madam President, and on General Manager's report, item B, which I skipped, is the street improvements, or the street, the City of Palmview, street improvements project. We have been I have been in communication with our district engineer, Milo Salinas, and of course Jeff Chapman, in reference to the streets in Palmview. We submitted at the request of Palmview a letter reflecting the substantially completed areas, which is basically everything south of the expressway, and the areas north of the expressway between Abram Road and Minnesota Road, which are now substantially complete, for them to do the repairs, or the limited repairs as far as surface level failures that had happened. So basically that's the update that I have, and of course the City of Palmview can go in and do paving corrections as they need to in these areas as well.
Okay.
Anything else, Milo? I don't know if Milo's still on the line, but
Milo.
That's where we're at with City of Palmview.
Okay.
Once we turn over the streets to them, that they can do the repairs, it's gonna be on the city, because the first time we did that, I mean, everything came back to us. And we turned it over, and they were responsible for the streets. And they came back to us, and I don't want the same thing to happen for a second time, because I know they got a grant to pave those roads. I don't know if it was through the city or the county. But if something happens in the next 3 months, before TechStop comes in and starts widening up 495 or veterans, they're gonna come back to us and say, well, it's settled again because it's y'all's contractor, or once they took over, they do it. Milo, are you still on the line?
Yes.
Well, what do you think? What's your opinion on this?
My opinion is the streets are so banged up, any work that gets done on them will be helpful for right now. I think the approach is more of a maintenance approach to make them more drivable, not necessarily repairing them 100%, like digging down. So I think it's more of a maintenance improvement to the surface. So just to make them more drivable from the way they are right now.
So
Yes, I just noticed that 495 there's some milling there, and which is a lot more drivable now. So was that the city?
No, that was us.
That was us?
Yes, we're
Well,
adding
yeah.
lanes instead of caliche to make it more drivable.
So Milo,
Yes,
what's
I noticed the difference.
the timeframe on
Thank you.
this? Robert, what's the timeframe on this, like, when they gonna start?
I don't have a time frame from the City of Palmview, but they wanted to start as soon as possible because they were pressing on us to send them the substantial completion and the letter of such reflecting.
Is the milling a lot more expensive than the caliche?
No, actually, the millings is it's a product that was given to us. It's what takes the recycles from when they're overlaying or redoing a new roadway.
Yes.
So that's basically crushed asphalt that
Yes.
we're using.
Well, I like it a lot better, and I'm sure that the residents would like it a lot better too. Like, it's just a lot smoother. How about well, I was just thinking, I don't know, like going on South Bryan, you know how there's tons of milling
On South Bryan,
on
yes.
South Bryan, that's the states?
That's the state. That belongs to the state or the contractor who is doing the work. Depends on how their contract was set. But usually is the state.
And that would we like would we be able to speak to somebody like regarding
We will need to request it.
like
to the-
request
to the
some or
state,
purchase
yes.
some?
Yes, they usually, text that we usually, give out the millings to the local municipality or government entities, even to the county.
Yes, because it is a lot of milling there,
Because it's
just
in
sitting there.
excess from the project, the huge projects that they have.
Yes.
But
Okay.
yes, we will need to, do, paperwork, to start working on this.
Yes, I think just for now, like I know that rainy days are coming up, these coming months, so that could probably help.
Okay. I think that was it on item number 12B, right, Mr. Salinas?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, we continue to item number 13, District Engineers Report, item 13A, NatBank Technical Assistance Agreement Sewer, hookups. Milo?
Yes, good evening, board members. So as, Mr. Salinas was mentioning, everything south of the expressway has been basically substantially complete on the Palmview sewer project. So, the contractor working on the yard lines is now able to be working on every home basically south of the expressway. They've completed 1,326 services. Out of those, 1,125 have been connected. And from those, 1,108 septic tanks have been pumped and disposed of. And out of those, 1,102 septic tanks have been fully decommissioned. So the contractor is starting to move along in the entire south area as it is right now.
Good news.
On item B, Mile 3 road waterline improvement.
Hold on, Milo.
Milo.
13A, Mr. Salinas, Robert, did we ever get information on the subcontractors?
On the subcontractor, as far as the insurance,
Yeah,
Milo,
yard line,
Milo, did you receive that information? I know it was requested
last
from
meeting?
several contractors, not just the.
Yes, we requested it from the contractor for Mile 3, which we received an email that they didn't have any subcontractors, and we have not gotten a response from Orwell, so we'll follow up tomorrow.
And what was it? What was that?
That's
Proof of insurance of their subcontractors.
Oh, okay.
And the 1295 conflict of interest form. That's been requested since June or July of last year.
Is that supposed to be given at time of engagement?
Yes.
Beyond who?
But isn't that just through the contractors? Isn't it, what is our obligation with the subcontractors? Cause
NatBank, no?
can't the contractor hire who they want to do their,
Yeah, but we amended the bylaw, so from the general contractor, now every general contractor for every subs they hire, no matter what job it is, they must turn in those forms to us so we know who the subcontractor is. And you worked on the bylaw, so,
But they just said they didn't have subcontractors.
no, for 3 Mile Line.
Oh.
We're on item 13A, which is the hookup.
We'll make sure and follow up with them and assure we get that by this week.
okay,
Thank you,
Milo.
Milo.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions on item A?
No, no, Milo, thank you.
Okay, item B, Mile 3 road line, water line improvement. If you recall, during the previous meeting, or 2 meetings ago, there was a change order number 2 that was approved for additional work to extend the 12-inch water line from Abram to the irrigation canal and 2 segments, which was going north, approximately 500 feet on Texan and Western. the contractor has completed the extension from Abram going towards the irrigation canal, and the only thing pending there is the crossing of the steel casing. They expect to do that over the weekend, and possibly even at night when there's less traffic. And right now they're working on the intersection of Texan going north. They're approximately 80% complete, so we hope that by the time we meet again, that we'll be closer to completion. Any questions on items B?
No, thank you, Bella.
Okay. Item C, Texas Water Development Board, Palmview Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project. As we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we were able to meet substantial completion on service area A1, which is a very large area. Basically everything south of the expressway from Freight Bogle going up to Bensten Palm, everything south of there is now substantially complete. On the north side, the area of from Abram going to Minnesota, everything north of the expressway there is substantially complete. So the only area pending is the service area G1, which is basically from the irrigation canal there on near Minnesota, going all the way to Freight Bogle north of the expressway. That's where the contractor is working right now, and we've been communicating with ShareTech to see if we can get the contractor to move a little quicker. And so they're having some issues there with dewatering and infiltration. They mentioned that they will be done by the end of this month, but we have been communicating with them that if they don't show more progress, it's our opinion that they won't finish by the end of this month. So that's where we are on that, and we will continue to meet weekly and continue to try to push them to get more progress done. And that's the update that we have on this project.
Any questions?
Thank you, Milo.
Okay. Thank you, Milo.
Thank you, Bella.
Thank you.
Item 14, executive session. As provided by Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Sections 551.071 through 551.091, the Board of Directors may convene in closed executive session to deliberate, discuss, or consult regarding the matters listed below and on proper motion and approval, any of the items set forth above. Item A, Texas Water Development Board, Palmview Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project, Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. Item B, Performance Services Inc. litigation. Item C, FM 492, Water Treatment Plant, Water Recovery and Wastewater Process Improvements, Water Saver Update. Item D, status of IAM Insurance Agency. And then item number 10, discussion and possible action regarding FM 492, Water Treatment Plant, Water Recovery and Wastewater Process Improvements, wastewater. So I need a motion at 6:54 p.m. to go into executive session. I have a motion by Tijerina, and I have a second by Diaz. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.